My name is John Crichton.
My name is John Crichton. My name is John Crichton. Look upward and share the wonders I've seen.
This is a show that never ends, and it goes on and on,
Hello, and welcome to episode number 3 of the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape. I'm your co-host, Kevin Batchelder.
And I'm Lindy Ray. On this episode of the ScapeCast, we'll have
some of our regular features, such as the trivia and news. We also will have some special guests who will be reviewing the premiere episode of Farscape,
a review of Zan,
and we'll, as always, be hearing from our listeners on our answer to the question of the week.
This show's spoiler level is
Season 2.
Now, we also want to mention that we've had a couple of listeners ask about maybe expanding that spoiler rating. So rather than just one rating for the whole show, what if we could maybe do spoiler ratings for each of the different segments of the ScapeCast? So that would be a little bit more work, but we're curious what the listeners think. So please, drop us a message through any of our regular ways, email, forums, or voicemail. We're curious to see if that's something a lot of folks are interested in, to see if maybe we should be doing that. And as always, the main contact point is our email address, which is the feedback@scapecast.org.
So Kevin, what's your speed this week?
Well, I'm now up into just starting to get past the midpoint of Season 3. Probably got about 7 episodes or so left, and, several of the crew members here and some of the other escapers on the forums are all starting to get giddy in terms of making me aware of how good some of the episodes are about to get. So I think after we're finished recording, I got to run in there and watch some more episodes.
Okay, but you do need to take it slowly, because there's a lot you're going to have to digest from now on, and you're really going to have to pay attention and think about all the things that you're seeing.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, so can't wait.
Doggo, you should study this. LMNOPQ. Just a few of their words, just in case.
Jana has already told me a few words. Yes, no, bite me. That's all I need to know.
Welcome once again to Trout Talk, where we learn how to say Farscape words and find out what they mean. Today's word is me.
Vonks.
Yeah. Me?
Vonks.
Me.
Vonks.
Me.
Vonks.
Me vonks. Me vonks. Me vonks. Me vonks. Today the word is me vonks. Gonna talk about the family jewels. Can you tell me what they are? What the me vonks are? What the me vonks are? Me vonks are an Abari term and refer to a sensitive part of the male anatomy. They are important and very delicate items.
John Crichton does not like getting kneed in the me vonks.
I'm still aching from the last time you helped me.
Aaron assumes they have something to do with how men think.
Well, she's clearly leading Dargo around by his mivonks, and I think she's having some sort of an effect on you.
And Chana sees them as a handy way to discipline bad boys.
The scuttlebutt on the ship. Scourgy's got Scorpius's mivonks in one of his manner of advice.
So, where are your me vonks?
Today you've learned the word me vonks and are well on your way to becoming fluent in Farscape-ese.
that sounded kind of good, huh?
Yeah.
I like that. I don't usually sound that good.
Yeah, I know.
Say, you don't really know where yours are, do you? I don't.
What? Are you serious? Welcome to this week's Farscape trivia question. This week I have 2 questions for you, both concerning John Crichton's pulse pistol. We all know he calls his pulse pistol Winona. The 2 questions I have are: 1. In what episode did he first give his pulse pistol the name Winona? And secondly, who did he name the pulse pistol after? Stay tuned at the end of the show for both answers. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett. Now, one of the things we were doing just before we started recording for the show, I was taking a look at our Frapper map. I'm not sure if everyone remembers, we've mentioned on the previous shows, there's a link on our homepage, but it's a map where you can just put a quick note about where you're located in the world. And I was looking there, and it's great to see that we've got listeners from several different countries on there. We've naturally got folks from the US and Canada. We've got the UK, Sweden, Austria, Italy, and Germany.
So all you listeners out there, are you getting together? Are you talking about Farscape? I'm still looking for that Silicon Gulch meeting. Don't forget, follow our show notes and post in our forum where you're having your meetings. I would sure love to meet some San Jose, California scapers.
Yeah, that would be great. We're hoping to have some spots there so we can start maybe becoming a central point to let folks know where some of those meetings and get-togethers are happening. That would be great if we can help facilitate that, because we'd love to keep getting the scapers together. So again, be sure to go to our website at scapecast.org.
If someone handed you the ScapeCast on CD, You know you can download it right from our site at ScapeCast.org, or you can go to iTunes and search for the ScapeCast.
This is Kimberly Thompson from Los Angeles, California, and you're listening to the ScapeCast.
Hey Kev, we found these totally gnarly dudes on the internet, and they just watched the premiere episode of Farscape. Nicola Wood and Wendy Hembrock thought we'd like to hear what they thought, and they wrote this for us.
Hey there, welcome to Heckling from the Balcony. My name's Frater. You can call me Fred.
My name is Professor Rotwang. You can call me Professor Rotwang. This is where we look at the show Farscape and tell you what we think, both good and bad.
Yeah, this is where we share the wonders, dude.
Don't be such a putz.
Tonight we check out premiere episode of Farscape. We meet John Crichton and plummet with him through a wormhole to begin his journey.
Not only is Crichton lost on the other side of the universe with no clue how to get back home, but the peoples he's stranded with may not be much help, and the Peacekeeper army is trying to kill him. However, he does find time to pick up a woman he thinks is another human, but she turns out to be a Peacekeeper and whips his butt. Somebody needed to do it.
I think this premiere did an excellent job of introducing the characters and the drama and humor. So, dude, what do you think of this premiere?
Too many colors.
How can you have too many colors, dude?
It was too alive, too vibrant. It was sensory overload for the eyes.
You like the color gray, don't you?
How can you tell?
Lucky guess. Your suit is gray, your tie is gray. Socks are gray. Hey, even your shirt is gray, man.
Actually, my shirt is white. I just washed it with my socks.
I like the colors, especially that opening shot with the sunrise. I thought it was a really gnarly way to start the episode, seeing Earth's star as it rises over the horizon. Beauty shot, dude. The dawn of a new adventure.
I felt like I was drowning in a color wheel.
Hey, your own personal wormhole.
You are an idiot. This Farscape is so confusing, and it didn't tell me anything new.
What do you mean?
It's just Alice went through the keyhole story. It's Buck Rogers. I've seen it all before.
Sci-fi isn't new, dude. But I thought it was a fast-paced, roller coaster thrill ride of excitement.
Yes, it is. I hate that. It's confusing. I couldn't predict the story. I had to pay attention.
There is a lot to watch. Hey, did you see that ring Crichton's dad gave him? It was Yuri Gagarin's ring, the first human in space. So cool, dude, referencing real history.
Superstition. Who believes in good luck charms these days? John Crichton is supposed to be a scientist.
I think it was more about his dad trying to give John something to show how proud he was.
He could have just said he was proud.
But this is why Farscape is so cool. They try to show you the story, not tell you. Plus that ring came in very handy later, you know, when he was dealing with the aliens.
And who are these aliens? Did I mention there are too many of them?
He is in space, dude. John Crichton is the only human. Everyone else has to be an alien.
Yes, but who's in charge? Not this Crichton fellow. He's not the tallest or the smartest. He doesn't even carry a weapon.
They're escaping prisoners. No one's in charge. It's scary and chaotic, just like it should be during a prison break.
That Crichton fellow, the way he tries to help and be friendly to these alien thugs. We have no idea what kind of crimes they committed.
True. We don't know if these aliens are dangerous. Remember that scene where Crichton tries to be friendly and Dargo tongues him?
Tongues him? That's disgusting. And Rigel spits on him. This whole show is about dragging visceral responses from the audience. Too many colors. Too much tonguing. Too much spitting. Too much smelling. It's too much, I tell you. Too much.
I liked it, especially the primitive response they're trying to get from the audience. Bypassing the brain, just going for the gut, dude. It kind of works on my level.
Yes, I can see how you would like that. And this Crichton, he's such a wimp. He gets taken down by a little yellow DRD. He's beaten up by nearly half the aliens, even the female, which was strangely satisfying to watch.
Yeah, I really like that scene. Erin Sun gives him quite the hello, doesn't she? Isn't Erin awesome?
She is formidable. But how can such violent people like her and that Crace fellow be called peacekeepers?
That was the point, dude. They twisted our expectations. Peacekeepers keep the peace through military oppression. So many different, complex characters and ideas. Nobody's a cute little E.T.
Exactly. How can I like that slug thing, Rigel? He's not cute.
Have you ever met an alien?
Of course not. But they don't look like that green swamp rat. Though the one with the tentacle hair, Dargo, now he's more like it. Big and angry and trying to take charge with no idea what to do. And that lovely blue female.
You're in love with Zan. I can tell. Rotwang and Zan sitting in a tree.
That's Professor Rotwang to you.
Isn't Zan's makeup amazing? She's so exotic and wise and sexy.
And that's another thing. Nudity. Sexy aliens. There's bound to be fraternization. I think she was flirting with Dargo, too. What kind of family show is this?
This isn't a family show, dude. And I would really like to find out what the fourth sensation is. Dargo seemed to want to find out, too.
But these are puppets. Puppets are for kids. They shouldn't be talking about things like the fourth sensation.
Would you leave your kid alone to play with Rigel?
Good God, no, never. He might eat a small child. Disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, that Commerce Planet was a steamy dump.
You could almost smell the market on the Commerce Planet. Spices and heat and cooking. I got the munchies, man.
Everything looked old. Where's the new and shiny state-of-the-art gizmos? This is supposed to be sci-fi. Where's the technobabble? I mean, look at how they escape from the peacekeepers. Crichton doesn't use any blinking gizmo to get away. He distracts the guards with that puzzle ring his dad gave him. He doesn't even know how to hold an alien weapon or fire it.
Wasn't that great? Little yellow bolts of light. He's a scientist, dude. He's not trained for combat. Want a potato chip?
Thank you. But that's typical. This fellow is a total fish out of water. He's not a good representative of our species.
Dude, he's an excellent example of our species. He don't get no respect from anyone because he can barely function. Erin doesn't even bother to get the name of his home planet right. She calls it Erp.
Erp? Is that some kind of joke? And these jokes about bodily functions. Lowbrow.
I thought they were funny.
You would. I concede that the visual effects are first-rate. The ship Moya is quite impressive.
Moya's all warm and smooth and contoured and alive. The other aliens don't seem to know much about how she works. They don't seem to know much about wormholes either. I'm curious to see if Crichton can ever find another one.
That's another thing. They didn't stop the story to explain how those wormhole things work either. Lazy writers.
It doesn't really matter, does it? All we need to know is that a wormhole brought Crichton to this part of the galaxy, and they might be how he can get back home. Like, nobody on the ship knows much about wormholes.
They managed to do without the math in the first episode. I'll give you that point. But they have some explaining to do.
Dude, as Crichton says, it's a strange alien life in Technicolor. Speaking of colors, wasn't that final shot of the baby star that Moya passes at the end totally gnarly? Nice way to bookend the episode, man. The sunrise in the first shot of the episode, and then Moya silhouetted against a new star at the end. These people really know how to tell a story, man.
I never noticed that. Do you mean to tell me that they were reminding people at the end of the episode of Crichton's journey from his home galaxy, and that his universe has changed forever?
Yeah, they don't miss a trick. Something to do with that primitive emotional reaction they're trying to get from the audience.
So what you are saying is that they are telling the story on two different levels, viscerally as well as verbally.
Sure, dude. Whatever works for you.
Maybe there is more to the show than I thought.
Yeah. So, dude, will you watch it again?
Of course. I want to see if that Crichton fellow lives.
This is Frater saying so long and see you at the next installment of Heckling from the Balcony.
And this is Professor Rotwang. Thank you for joining us. I don't give that Crichton fellow much of a chance, though. He's just too useless.
Hey, dude, he helped him escape from the Peacekeepers with that slingshot maneuver thing. Not to mention that it was his dad's puzzling that distracted the guards to let him escape. He's not that useless.
I'm Wendy Hembrock, and here's the news. Farscape returns to TV. Well, the Peacekeeper Wars returns to Canadian TV anyway. The Space Channel in Canada will be airing Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars on May 22nd. Both parts of the miniseries will air back-to-back, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Victoria Day. There's no better way to celebrate the Queen's birthday than with a few hours of intergalactic warfare. I wonder how they'd celebrate the Dominar's birthday. I bet it involved beer, though, eh? Farscape people won Saturn Awards in 2 categories. The Triangle, written by Rockne O'Bannon, tied with Masters of Horror for first place for the Best Television Presentation Award. And God of War won Best Video Game Release Fantasy. This game included the voice talents of Claudia Black. Farscape alum Felix Williamson, who played Prince Clavor in the Look at the Princess trilogy on Farscape, recently appeared on Season 2 of Lost. Felix appears on episode 45. The episode has no name other than the question mark symbol, which is a reference to a spot on a map. Felix plays Dr. Ivan McVeigh, who appears in a flashback scene of backstory about the character Mr. Echo. So that's 2 Farscape alums appearing on Lost. Folks may recall that Wayne Pygram, who played Scorpius, was a guest in the episode SOS earlier in Season 2. The TV Wasteland column by Jason Davis that appears on the Cinescape website has been talking about Farscape in a series of articles about season finales and series finales. Follow the link in our show notes to the articles on the Cinescape website and maybe show Jason some Scaper appreciation for drawing attention to the show. Now for the convention report. The first details about the Burbank Farscape convention are starting to trickle out. Rayleigh Hill is the first confirmed guest for the convention in November. We previously reported that David Franklin will appear at MarCon 41 at the end of this month. David will also be appearing at ApolloCon June 23rd through 25th in Houston, Texas. Stolen Life, a 3D animated film featuring the voice talents of Claudia Black, will preview at 2 upcoming sci-fi conventions. The Southeast Scapers have been sponsoring promotion for this film, and you can find an interview of Claudia Black talking about Stolen Life at the Southeast Scapers website. They have been working in conjunction with the folks at Creation Entertainment and the film's producer, Peter Rasmussen of Nanoflix, to show highlight clips of the film at this year's Farscape convention in Burbank. The sci-fi noir story will also preview at the upcoming Dragon Con in September. Video gamers and indie-budget filmmakers take note. Stolen Life is created in machinima, a form of 3D animation using a video game engine. This method significantly reduces the hours of rendering typically associated with conventional computer animation. Maybe some enterprising scapers could hook these folks up with Brian Henson for some animated Farscape? Admit it, you'd watch. You'd watch. Fan filmmakers looking for costumes for their videos can find some authentic Farscape costumes and props on the latest Creation Entertainment eBay auctions. The auctions this time around include Crichton's Ayasa jumpsuit, Crichton's signature black t-shirt with frayed edges that Crichton wore in the episode Kansas, and of course to go with that black t-shirt, Crichton's signature leather pants. You can also get Aaron's green zip shirt from the episode Infinite Possibilities, as well as Dargo's cape from the Season 3 episode Season of Death, and Dargo's holster for his quilta-blade, as well as Zan's shimmery blue caftan worn in the Season 2 episode Picture If You Will. With most of those costumes, you could outfit nearly the entire crew for your Farscape film. And until the wannabe Scorseses screen their feature films, videographers can submit a video to this year's DragonCon. DragonCon will be running a fan music video contest for the first time. Vidders or their supporters can nominate up to 3 videos per creator for one or more of the programs, including Farscape, in categories such as humor or shippiness. Jim Henson's The Storyteller, The Definitive Collection will be released on DVD on May 23rd. The Emmy Award-winning series launched on NBC in 1987 and was re-aired in 1999 on HBO. The 2-disc set features all 13 episodes of the series, which retells classic fables, fairy tales, and Greek myths. Many of the episodes were written by writer-director Anthony Minghella, who directed The English Patient, The Talented Mr. Ripley, and Cold Mountain. The series cast includes John Hurt of V for Vendetta, Brenda Blethyn of Secrets and Lies, and Sean Bean of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In other Henson news, Disney released the first couple of seasons of Brian Henson's sitcom Dinosaurs this month. Some trivia for the Buffyverse fans out there: Jane Espenson wrote for Dinosaurs. In a recent interview about the DVD release, Henson said the 15-year-old sitcom about an animatronic family of dinosaurs has aged well. Henson said, quote, "When you're satirizing what's absurd about American society, it's mostly still relevant. Well, a guy named George Bush was in the White House when the show first aired, so he's got a point." Henson also dished about the future of Farscape. Henson stated, quote, "I do believe we will do more Farscape." Check the link in our show notes for more of his thoughts on Farscape. You didn't think I'd tell you everything he said, did you? Brian Henson will be directing for Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes series, 8 one-hour episodes adapted from King's short stories. Brian Henson directs the episode titled Battleground, starring William Hurt, who plays a hitman. The series will air on TNT in July. You can find more details and links about today's news in our show notes. And that's the news. I'm Wendy Hembrock for the ScapeCast.
You're listening to the ScapeCast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape.
Hey Kevin, last week I had to be in Las Vegas for a trade show. I took my booth team to the Star Trek Experience, which is at the Hilton Hotel. We had lunch at Quark's. We were beamed up to the deck of the Enterprise from the Next Generation. I just love getting beamed up there. We met a Klingon at Quark's for lunch. It was really cool. The one thing that I noticed that my other team members agreed with is whenever you get involved with these people, something always goes wrong. You notice that. The Borg invade, the Klingons come, something. But it was really fun.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of folks that that is a fun thing to do if you get out that way in the country. I mean, it'd be great if someday we can see some type of a Farscape experience or something like that. That'd really complement it real well.
I would love that. We'll just have to find the right place to sponsor that.
Got Narn on your noodle? Seeing Centauri in your cereal? Is there a hole in your mind? If so, go to www.babylonpodcast.com. There you'll find the only podcast dedicated to Babylon 5. You'll hear in-depth commentary, insightful interviews, and unexpected surprises. The Babylon Podcast, our last best hope for B5 fans.
Crichton! Listen to yourself! Everything lives and everything dies! Whether you wish it to or not, and you have to deal with it!
Just a couple moments ago, you heard a promo for the Babylon podcast. That's a great cast that's put out for naturally information about Babylon 5. And in the coming weeks on our future shows, we do plan to play some promos of some other great podcasts that we think you folks might enjoy.
We also want to say a big thanks to the Firefly Talk and the Signal podcast for sharing the wonders of Farscape with their listeners by giving us a mention in their recent episodes. Also, in the last Signal podcast, number 8, Carrie, who's a co-host, did a review of Farscape. And then last ScapeCast, we played their recent promo, which was taken from the movie Serenity. They were both pretty fun, and we really appreciate the shout-out.
Yeah, the podcasting community is a really tight-knit group of folks who really do try to help each other out. I mean, naturally, especially in the sci-fi genre, a lot of folks like myself and many of our listeners like several shows, so it's great if we can share the information to help each other out. And we're actually working on our first promo right now, so rest assured, as soon as we have one ready, we'll be sure to share it with everybody and put it on a future ScapeCast.
Our next character segment is Season 1's Zan. It's written by David Walls.
Gliding through the corridors of Moya with ease and silent grace, the sensuous and wise Pa'uzoto Zan embraces the freedom she has gained on Moya. She is the mother figure to the other crew members and the one whom they trust implicitly. Her wisdom runs deep, and she shares with those willing to listen her understanding of relationships, medicine, and spirituality. Meeting Dargo for the first time, the blue, bald, and beautiful Delvian looks the Luxon warrior squarely in the eye, and without hesitation and with a tiny bit of pride, she reveals the reason for her imprisonment to the impatient Luxon.
Because on my home world, even among my kind, I was something of an anarchist. Actually, I was the leading anarchist.
She also reveals a little of her playful, sensuous side.
I've heard of something known as the fourth sensation.
I have experienced this. Not lately.
One has to visually experience the flowing body language to fully appreciate Zan's universal appeal to the eye, as well as the soul. Delvians are flora-evolved, which accounts for the unique and beautiful orchid-like markings on their faces and bodies. They also have extremely long lives. Zan herself is over 800 cycles old, and in her long life she has struggled against great odds to gain patience and wisdom. But all the patience and wisdom in the universe cannot negate the effects of Delvian physiology. When starved, Delvians need fresh meat to survive. Even Zan gets frighteningly aggressive in that primitive, ravenous state. During the 17 cycles that Zan was imprisoned on Moya, she studied the Delvian Seek, a spiritual journey undertaken by many of her kind. Now she is a Pa'u, or priest, and tries to make amends for her many past transgressions. The ability to help ease the pain of another being is one of the many gifts she possesses. This particular talent enables her to use her empathy toward other species in a productive way. But even Zan's formidable strength was stretched to its limit when she shared Moya's pain, as Rigel cut out a peacekeeper tracking beacon. Pain that might well have caused Moya's death had Zan not stepped in to ease her distress. The hurried surgery and removal of the paddock beacon was a great struggle for both Zan and Rigel, not to mention Moya's misery. Only through Zan's understanding and courage was this task accomplished. Zan is first and foremost a gentle soul, yet when needed she can use her physical strength to her advantage. Often her enemies misjudge her and learn, to their cost, how wrong they are.
I'm not afraid of you. You're soft and weak.
Soft, yes. Weak, no.
Zan understands the strength she wields both spiritually and physically, and she doesn't hesitate to show either when necessary. For example, when she tries to help a Tavlek in withdrawal from a powerful and addictive drug, he is brash and impatient with her. He doesn't want her help, and he tries to provoke her. It works, kind of.
You don't scare me. You don't even have the guts to fight me!
Here, I could rip you apart right now, Carl, and help me. I'd enjoy it. But you know why I don't. Because we're not enemies.
But not the way he expects. Zan's spiritual side is directly linked to her sense of worth, and when Dargo reveals to her how he briefly found true happiness, she in turn opens up to him and reveals the nature of her fulfillment.
My choice to join the Delvian Seek, to become a priest, occurred in a matter of a blink of an eye. One moment I was lying in my cell, a savage, capable of anything. The next, the truth was revealed to me, and I knew my true path.
The greatest challenge to Zan's spirit comes from an unexpected and surprising source and deeply frightens her. While Zan is searching for a cure for Rigel's Clendian flu, the crew and she stumble onto something far more malicious.
It's not a disease that's done this. It's something much worse. A dark and dangerous force, wielded by an evil sorcerer whose name is Maldus. He feeds upon pain and death, gaining strength by tapping into the life energy of others.
Zan makes the decision to fight Maldus, but she also realizes that she cannot do it alone. She is unsure and fearful of what might happen not only to herself, but also to the others around her. Recognizing Zan's reluctance to engage Maldus and thinking he understands what Zan is afraid of unleashing, Liko taunts her, trying to provoke her into anger.
What is it you're so afraid of?
I'm not afraid.
Come on, you're terrified!
I am a Delvian Pa'u. Nothing can frighten me if I do not wish it.
You can't wish your fear away. Face it! Admit what it is you're scared of. Are you afraid of Maldus? You can destroy him!
That's what terrifies me.
Liko does not understand what it is he is demanding of Zan. Darkness boils beneath the serene surface Zan presents to the world, strangling her with the fear of her own strength, her own capacity for evil. Now Zan has to make a terrible decision. While Dargo and Aaron try to break into Maldus's fortress, Zan asks the inevitable question.
What are you waiting for? A third choice. Although I know there are only two. Let that evil flourish, or unleash another evil against it. How would you choose?
I suppose I would choose the lesser evil.
She faces the knowledge that she must release that part of herself over which it has taken many painful cycles for her to gain control. Releasing her dark power is what Zan is truly afraid of, the chaotic madness that resides not far beneath the surface of her soul. Zan's strength and power defeats Maldus at a cost. The release of the dark impulses within her means that Zan must, once again, struggle to defeat the evil that has been given a doorway, an opening through which to peer and perhaps travel. Still reeling from what has transpired while defeating Maldus, and what that means for her and her future with the Delvian Seek, Zan desperately tries to explain to an uncomprehending John the ordeal in front of her, and her fear that she will not have the discipline and strength and time to tame her violent desires.
You've never seen that part of me. I thought I'd eradicated it. Forever.
Well, you resurrected it once to deal with Maldus. It's over.
No, it's not. I feel it inside me still. Now I have to rid myself of it again. And I don't know if I can do it, John.
Zan struggles alone against her dark urges for a long while, and not always does she prevail, yet she never gives up. Until... One of the benefits of the Delvian Seek is an ability to practice a bonding process called unity. It is a sacred process combining two souls and two minds. During an encounter with another Delvian Pa'u named Talene, Zan is asked to share how she was able to overcome the violent impulses that all Delvians on the Seek confront. Talene desires unity with Zan so that she may gain the control that she thinks Zan possesses. Zan is cautious, but not because she does not wish to share the knowledge, but because her ability and knowledge has been compromised by her encounter with Maldus. Until now, details of Zan's past was a secret from the rest of the Moyans, but on the new moon of Delvia, she trusts Crichton enough to reveal the true reason she was imprisoned.
Peacekeepers rounded up all the liberal thinkers and voices of protest. My own father was sent to an asteroid camp. He may still be there for all I know.
Was that before or after you killed Batal?
I loved Batal, John.
Confronted once again with the unenviable choice between the lesser of two evils, Zan seeks guidance from yet another Pa'u, one who has succumbed to the insanity that both Zan and Talene are desperate to avoid.
Will she use the ability I give her to hurt people?
Certainly. But she may also free a planet from tyranny.
Zan decides to share unity with Talene and joins with her to impart the knowledge of how she herself mastered the madness. Unfortunately, Talene's trip to the dark side is more advanced than Zan was aware. Talene rips the shreds of Zan's control away from her and leaves her on the brink of madness. Zan realizes that defeating Maldus was only the first step on her descent into terror and insanity, and she is left weak and despairing by the theft of the control that she cultivated so diligently for so many cycles.
Why are your eyes red?
It's tissue bile migrating to my brain.
Madness?
Maybe. My dark impulses are released. She ripped from me my ability to control them.
The first time Zan faced her demons, she defeated them alone in her cell, but this time Zan is not alone. Even though she disdainfully rejects his help, Crichton taunts Zan into sharing unity with him. Crichton seizes the opportunity to show her that to him she is more than a violent anarchist. He wants to share with her his belief in her inherent goodness and impart his strength to help fight the madness.
We must separate now, John. I don't know how long I can protect you.
No. There's something in me that you need to see. Look at yourself as I see you. Gentle, giving. That's you, Zan. Talene can't take that, and she didn't.
In her final confrontation with Talene, Zan reveals that unity indeed works both ways.
How did you block him from me? Unity also gifted me with a part of you, Talene. I am now a Pa'u of the 10th level, able to protect.
Although she has advanced another step in the Delvian Seek, Zan comes to yet another decision, one that reveals not only how her belief in herself has been fundamentally shaken, but one that suggests the entire underpinnings of her belief system have been knocked askew.
I will be a Pa'u again, but I am not today.
Seems a shame. Waste all those years of training.
Hardly wasted. They were the best cycles of my life.
In the final episode of Season 1, Zan confides in Crichton when she feels that it might well be their last time aboard Moya together.
John, I've made a new family here, surrounded by all of you. Now I sense it's coming to an end.
Well, it's a Jerry Springer kind of family. But for what it's worth, Zan, you are family.
While Zan is the moral center around which the rest of the crew orbit, she has been challenged and tested in ways none of the others have been forced to face. Her strength is unquestioned, but it does have limits. Zan assumes the mantle of guide and counselor, but who guides and counsels her? She is there for all of them and gives unstintingly, but she deems herself unworthy, and she recognizes how fragile existence can be.
You know, you amaze me being a priest. To live in such a violent world and yet somehow manage to keep your center.
The instant I committed murder, I sacrificed my right to exist. Since then, I view every microt as a generous yet undeserved gift from the goddess.
For the ScapeCast, I'm Kimberly Thompson.
Attention! There are opportunities all around you. Opportunities to help spread the Scaper word around the world. The ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize. The Sci-Fi portal is looking for reader input in its annual online awards. Blue Aaron is putting out a call for Scapers to help get guests at DragonCon. SciFi.com's Sci-Fi PDF Farscape page needs updating. Add your input by checking our show notes for the link. Jersey Girl on the ScapeCast forums is putting a call out for anyone who can send DVDs to a wounded soldier recovering stateside. Check our show notes for more information. This has been the ScapeCast Beacon, a call to all Scapers to mobilize.
Pilot, prepare the Prowler.
Very well.
Come on.
You're not going down there.
If we don't get that crystal back, we're going to crash into the planet. I've got a plan.
Oh, no, please, let me guess. Your plan. Jam down to the planet, conduct a commando-style raid against, what, a couple of dozen heavily armed tabloids, and then haul ass back up to the ship.
Tavlex.
That's your plan? Wile E. Coyote would come up with a better plan than that. What, you're just gonna go down there by yourself?
No, of course not. You're coming with me.
Oh, in your dreams, I'm coming with you.
This is my turn. My plan. Now let's go.
No, absolutely not. There are other things that we can do. We can try negotiating with the tabloids. We can...
Tavlex.
This week's question is, what is your favorite episode from Season 1 or Season 2?
Hey, wait, I got a couple of questions. Couple of 1,000 more questions.
Question of the week.
This week's question is, what is your favorite episode from Season 1 or Season 2?
This is indeed tricky. I loved both seasons and couldn't really name a single episode I didn't like. The last 2 episodes of Season 2 had me literally on the edge of my seat and made me so emotional I had to have a hug whilst watching. But your question requires an answer, so I will choose to talk about a possibly controversial choice. The episode I choose is Thrown for a Loss. It is not by far one of the best episodes of the series in an overall view. However, it was an episode that actually told us a lot about this new verse. It was the one that made me get to know the characters much more and what to watch out for in future episodes. The main storyline, with the tabloids, was in my view just a smokescreen for the subtext. I liked how much humor was starting to become a good part of the episodes. You get to see Rigel acting like Rigel. LNS.
I really liked how the humor was starting to really come out in the series, at least for me at this point, a few episodes in, and we really got a good chance to see Rigel being Rigel. So that was kind of fun for me, I know.
Yeah, it's always great to get to know him a little better. I know he visited us last week and threw a little tantrum, and so this gives us a little chance to see some more of that.
Yeah, this was kind of neat. Again, I'm thinking back to the nice discovery point of being that early in the viewing process and getting a chance to meet everybody as far as the characters go. That was a lot of fun.
Jarek tells us, Tricky. I didn't get to see the first season until I had bought the DVD box set at a much later date. So overall, it didn't have the same impact on me as I suspect it would have had I watched from the premiere like so many others did. Season 2, however, was my introduction, and Mind the Baby, being my first proper viewing of Farscape, really sticks in my mind. But I'm going to go back to the Season 1 episode, Through the Looking Glass, which was just superb. A very imaginative and risky episode, which could easily have ended up as a convoluted mess, known more for its over-aggressive audio and photography effects. However, for me, it is a joy to watch the concern of the crew for Moya, but also their own interests, as is the case quite often, and the concept of alternate realities, which can be accessed by simply finding a doorway on the ship, but having consequences when used.
Again, it got me thinking about how starting in Season 2, as this person was when it came to watching the show, how that could really affect how things were introduced to you. You know, I find it fascinating, I think I mentioned this on some of the other casts, how some folks pick up the series at different points. And it'd be really interesting at some point to get those folks together, maybe on a chat call or something, to realize how the perspectives are a little different when you come at things just at a different point in time.
A lot of people really said that if they just watched Season 1, they weren't that interested in Farscape because it was really an introduction to everybody. But I think without it, if you just start in Season 2 without really understanding, I think it might take you a little longer to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah. You know, once I knew I was going to watch the show a bit, a few of the regulars, you know, folks here on the crew, but also other Farscape folks on the forums, I mentioned how, about halfway through, how interesting it was kind of seeing how things were starting to develop a little bit about the characters. And it was funny, I don't remember who it was, but someone said, yeah, they consider Season 1 to be like Farscape Light, because it isn't really Farscape, it's just kind of going along to get you into things.
I always consider it a lighthearted romp. They aren't really the episodes I go back and rewatch. I do think that it's the episodes later on that are more interesting to rewatch because they are more introductory.
My favorite episode from Season 1 had to be either Nerve or Hidden Memory, whichever comes first. Sorry, I can't remember right now. This was the moment that, for me, Farscape turned the corner and really became a grown-up, no-holds-barred sci-fi masterpiece. There was a new level of fear, there was despair, there was lots of really dark stuff that virtually all shows stay away from. My skin tingled the first time I saw this episode. Jersey Girl.
Manic Bannock posts, it has to be Nerve, because that's where the show shifted gears and went headlong into the main story arc.
The thing that really got me, and I will say that you did get that later on in Farscape, is that it's not a children's show. And that's what Jersey Girl is talking about, that the show became something, it was even rated, I believe, TV-14. And my son was about 8 or 9 when this first started, and it got to the point where I just didn't let him watch anymore because it was really too grown up for him. And that's one of the other reasons that I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, these responses on this episode, too, kind of get me thinking a bit about what I hope we have for a future question of the week, which is having folks describe which episode or episodes really made them realize, bang, this is when I knew Farscape was now different. This became real special rather than just a TV show. You know, it kind of moved beyond that. I'm sure everyone has that moment or point where they thought that happened, so these are certainly starting to talk about some of those possible times when that would be the case.
Drew posts, Family Ties has to be my all-time favorite episode. It is the first time that all of the characters really realize something, that through all their bickering and fights, they have truly grown to become a family. A bit dysfunctional, but still a family. Not to mention a lot of great quotes in that episode.
Hi, this is Kim from the ScapeCast. I have a really hard time picking my favorite episode from Season 1 and Season 2. There's so much great stuff to choose from. Daimi Dichotomy is probably the best episode out of both seasons. I'm just not sure it's my favorite. Season 1 has an excellent episode called The Flax, where John and Aaron get trapped in this net in the transport pod, and the whole episode is them trying to figure out how to get out. And they almost die, and, well, they thought they were going to die, and they finally let go of their inhibitions. And they almost go out with a bang until Dargo finds them and walks in on them. Just look at Aaron's face when Dargo walks in. It's priceless. For a human reaction, John finally gets home to Earth. Or does he? He meets the Ancients, and the Ancients plant that secret hidden wormhole knowledge in his head, which totally starts the huge story arc that continues to the end of Peacekeeper Wars. In this episode, the coolest thing is we finally get to hear Rigel and Aaron's real speech. It's so clever how Claudia came up with Aaron's Sebacean speech. I love this. I love to hear Aaron speak Sebacean. It's always a highlight for me. Then, in another couple of episodes, the end of Season 1, we finally get to meet Scorpius in Nerve and the Hidden Memory. And we get to see John in the Aurora chair. We see the hidden wormhole knowledge, and boy, there's the ball starts rolling. Aaron almost dies. Jelena reappears. Oh, it's such an excellent episode. We also get to meet Stark. My side, your side, my side, your side. I think these two episodes together are probably even better than the awesome Family Ties Season 1 cliffhanger. And wow, beginning of Season 2. I'm just at the halfway point, Season 2. Everyone really loves Crackers Don't Matter. I'm not sure I like Crackers Don't Matter. It just didn't grab me. I think Out of Their Minds is probably funnier. We see Rigel inside of Crichton trying to figure out how to pee. We have Crichton inside of Aaron having a little jiggle. We have Chiana inside of Dargo, who's trying to molest Rigel, who's inside Crichton. Are you following me? And finally, we have Dargo inside of Pilot, who's completely losing his mind over the multitasking thing Pilot does. And he's angry and he's shouting, and it just makes me laugh. I think it's funny. End of Season 2, we also have a really great trilogy called Liars, Guns, and Money. That trilogy is 10 kinds of awesomeness, and we also get to see Zan quite out of character as a kind of a pseudo-dominatrix, you know. In Season 2, we've also got a really great episode called The Way We Weren't. Now, The Way We Weren't is really dark, but really good. We get to see Erin, her Peacekeeper past, some people that she crossed paths with. We get to see some more backstory on Pilot. And Pilot gets really angry, and oh, this episode is awesome. I totally love it. This one is at the top with Liars, Guns, and Money and Daimi Dichotomy. These are my highlights of Season 2. Back when I was renting Season 1 DVDs, I was watching Season 2 in syndication, and I caught an episode called The Locket. And this episode seems a little bit slow at first, but you get to see John and Aaron get trapped on a planet in time. They grow old together, and this episode touched me so much. This was the very first Farscape episode that totally made me cry. I had to tape it, and I watched it over and over and over again until I finally got through the Season 2 discs. I just love this. I don't care that there's no gunfights. I don't care that there's no space battles. This episode is awesome, and it totally shows us what we're in for later on in Season 2 and Season 3. So, after all of that rambling, what's my favorite episode of both seasons? A solo episode, not a trilogy? Well, it has to be, drumroll please, The Way We Weren't. But expect me to change my mind in about 30 minutes.
That's the one I think that made the biggest impact on me in the first couple of seasons. You know, I'm still not quite finishing Season 3 yet, and there have been some great episodes, but I think that was kind of the first one where I really felt the punch to the gut of the impact of what happened and what it meant to the different characters and the relationships of the folks there on Moya. So this one definitely sticks in my mind. I don't know if I'd pick it as the favorite, but much like Kim, I'd certainly put it in my top few.
Prospero posts, it's the episode the German To Be Frelling Continued members have watched ever since. Crackers don't matter. And why? Because humans are superior. No, wait, that's not it. Of course, it's the great humor of this episode. It showed me that Farscape is very, very special. Frel. Can anyone imagine such an episode in any one of the Star Trek series? I can't. And you do get very deep into the characters. Dargo and Rigel, my god. This scene with the crackers was scary. And Zan having her thing? It's a really cool episode. Of course, every ep is, but you asked me to choose just one.
This is a very dark episode for me, and I know a lot of listeners to the ScapeCast have this as one of their favorites. But to me it's not, because to me it's just too dark and people are too mean, and I like nice people.
Well, they were mean, but the thing I found interesting, too, was that it was done with a little bit of humor. So it got you, you'd hear a couple of lines and go, a little bit of the ouch would come through, but then you'd see or hear some of the humor to it. So it was the human condition. I mean, like a lot of folks are. Sometimes they're brutally honest, but if it's not done in a mean way, even though it's mean, maybe it doesn't quite come across that way. I don't know. I found that one interesting. That's one of those ones I'm looking forward to going back to once I've seen a lot more of the arcs of the characters to see some of the comments there. I mean, some folks do pick on or bring up the humor part a bit, but yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of what was said was definitely under the skin of some folks.
I must say, one of my favorite episodes is Out of Their Minds. It is so funny. I couldn't stop laughing. The scene where Rigel in John's body has to go pee? Priceless! And when John in Aaron's body just can't resist jumping up and down? Jiggly, jiggly! I've gone as far as getting my friends and family to watch the episode with me over and over again. It just keeps getting funnier every time. Tatiana, British Columbia, Canada.
I would say this is probably one of my favorite episodes, just because it's so wacky, and how John solves the problems by making everybody wear a picture of who they really are.
Yeah, the little things around their neck.
Yeah, little badges.
Made it think we're back in grade school, who am I?
Yeah. And I thought that the actors did such an excellent job with each other's mannerisms. One just was better than the next.
Yeah, and actually I read in one of the companion books, I think it's the Illustrated Companions, they talked about how the actors, once they knew they were doing an episode like this, they spent some time actually purposely watching the mannerisms so they could try to have some of those gestures and make it look like the other person. They said they had a lot of fun trying to do that with each other. It was one of those ones with a smile almost throughout the whole thing. I must say that was kind of neat.
It's gotta be Won't Get Fooled Again, with many, many classic laugh-out-loud moments. From Pilot in a jazz band, Dargo the flyboy lunatic, to Zan saying,
Do you have a problem with people of color?
Rigel's float chair being explained away with a neat reference to a disability. But my favorite, absolute, nearly wet myself with laughter moment has to be the gay Dargo.
I really need to just unburden myself on you.
What?
Well, lately, I've been thinking about you in a very different way.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering if you would mind participating with me in a little Luxon bonding ritual. Here's the thing, okay? What we need are some chains, my quota blade, just a little squirt of lecture oil, and... Oh! Gianna.
Gianna?
Yeah, she wants to watch.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I just thought Anthony carried it off well. Phased out from Dublin.
This concept of, not knowing if something's real or not, you see it in other shows, certainly in some sci-fi shows, but the Farscape humor that was permeated throughout it was just neat. I mean, it made it, like a lot of episodes, flow real well, because you didn't get too much of a brain cramp trying to overthink it. You were smiling a little bit and trying to figure it out, and then hearing all the quips John would make and everything. So it was kind of neat watching that move along. And it was also just a lot of fun seeing them all on Earth or out of the space element kind of thing. That was kind of neat, too.
C.H. Sanders says, It's really hard to decide which one is my favorite. I've always enjoyed the Look at the Princess episodes and Out of Their Minds, but I suppose the one that gets me the most is the Locket. It kind of touches on everything about the show, and what ultimately the show becomes. John and Aaron getting together. You see that in this episode, that they've lived out their lives with each other, but not necessarily together. Yet they have always loved each other, and that's what the series ultimately became after this, them getting it together with each other. I mean, who out there can watch the part where Crichton opens up Erin's locket after she's died, and sees the only man she's ever really loved, and not felt something? Sorry for the sappiness, but it's true.
Best of the first two seasons has to be Dimey Dichotomy. What can't be said about this episode? It rings like a pure bell. Perfect. The performance by Ben Browder as Scorpius is dead on, and somehow even more chilling than Wayne Pygram's, which I didn't think was possible. The love scene with Aaron, after nearly 2 years they finally admit their feelings, and then bam! Well, maybe not quite. When John becomes Scorpius and licks up her nose to her forehead, well, if this doesn't produce chills, then you really are an alien. And the death! Wow, was that earned? I mean, every second was real. The hero kills a woman he loves, preceded by a knuckle-biting aerial chase that once again showcased Rowan Wood's filmmaker skills. Yet the story never melts into melodrama, although it so easily could be in lesser hands, because David Kemper's writing is crisp and pointed and refuses to go there. Finally comes the cliffhanger ending. Wholly left on the table with your brains inside out, Batman. Crichton is left trapped virtually mute with the hell of what he's done torturing his soul. Unparalleled suspense. Simply spectacular storytelling. Sandy M.G.
Well, Kevin, I don't know about you, but by the time they got to the scene where they were both flying, I was standing up in the middle of my living room yelling.
Now, I can visualize that too. I can definitely see that happening.
Yes, I was just completely freaked out by the whole thing. And what a portrayal of somebody being possessed by such an evil person like the Scorpius.
Yeah, no, I can remember watching this one. Naturally, I did it on DVD, so I knew this was a season ender. And I don't know, maybe half, 3/4 of the way through, like you said, it was just you were so edge of the seat and everything going on. I remember thinking to myself at one point, I'm so happy that I can pop Season 3 Disc 1 in right away. I would not want to have had to waited months to see what was going to happen next.
Just at the end, when he's laying on the table and where he can't talk and he has his chip removed and his brain's open and the doctor who's taking care of it appears to be dead. Yep, standing up in the living room yelling. That would be about right.
Yeah. Let's see, can I make this any worse? You know, that kind of thing.
Boy, those people at Henson, they're evil people. I'm just kidding. We just love them. They really know how to tell a good story. Well, I would have to say that my favorite episode is also The Locket. I like almost all the episodes. It's very hard to pick out a good one. But just thinking about The Locket, I just kind of puddle up a little bit. It was really the evidence that you had that John and Aaron really were going to have some kind of relationship as Farscape evolved. Because up until then, you really didn't know. I mean, you suspected it, but you really weren't sure. And this really showed how they felt about each other and the depth of their feelings. And even though it was mostly forgotten by the time they got back to the present time, it was enough to keep me going.
Well, that's where the sci-fi part was fun, too, because you wondered, you thought, when they came back to the present, no, they didn't know, but was it in the back of the mind somewhere? Was there some way they could tap into it? You know, that gave you that little hope, that little glimmer as you were seeing other things evolve. So that, yeah, right, that was the, you know, the emotional tug that made it stick in your mind.
I believe that Zan and Stark were aware that this time had passed, but they may not have been aware as how it had passed. Again, and those two showing their relationship, I also really enjoyed their relationship, Zan and Stark. So how about you, Kevin?
Well, like I've said many times, I don't like to pick the favorite. I got a lot like Kim, as we heard earlier. I can list a couple that would make a strong contender for me. But I guess if you put me on the spot, I'd probably, The Way We Weren't. It just keeps coming back in my mind when I start thinking about episode titles and images in my mind because of how important that was and what happened there and the relationships with some people in terms of once all the information came out. I mean, I really like that. To me, that reminds me a lot of Farscape up to that point in terms of what I'd watched.
It's interesting that Aaron's son had a relationship with the head scientist for that project. Even though she was raised in the peacekeeper environment, she's always been special. She's always been able to be singled out. And this was just more evidence of that.
Question of the week.
So we wanted to thank everybody for some great responses on that question. You heard just some of them there. Again, feel free to come to our boards where folks continue to answer the question even after we've gone to record the show. So there's a lot more information there if you want to follow the threads on our forums. And with that in mind now, it naturally need to think about our question for our next show. So somewhat similar, what we're going to do is ask you to share with us what your favorite guest character was within those first two seasons, either season 1 or season 2. Let us know what your thoughts are there, what kind of brought more to the Farscape universe in terms of what character you found really brought that out. And as always, whatever method works for you, email, forums, or voicemail. We'd love, again, if we're going to do a little plug here, folks, we'd certainly love to hear escapers in their own voice. Feel free to call that voicemail and share your thought. We'd love to hear the answers in your own voice so we can actually hear that come across.
You ready for the answers to the 2 trivia questions I gave you at the beginning of the show? Here we go. Number 1. In what episode did John Crichton name his pulse pistol Winona? Well, that was in Season 2's episode A Clockwork Nabari. Nope, he never called it Winona before that. And the second question was, who did he name it after? Well, according to Ben Browder, it was not named after Winona the country music singer. Nope, it was named after Winona Ryder, the actress. Tune into our next episode for another trivia question. For the ScapeCast, I'm Brent Barrett.
This ScapeCast has been brought to you by the word Meebonks.
Welcome back, everyone. We just wanted to let you all know a couple of quick things, as we always do, just to wrap up here. A reminder that we do have that email service available so you can be notified anytime we publish a new show or post anything important on our homepage. Feel free to fill out the information box on the homepage so that you get those emails if you're not already on that list.
And there are many ways to listen to our show, even if you're new to the podcast world. We've put together some detailed instructions that are pretty easy to follow, and they're on our homepage under the FAQ, which means Frequently Asked Questions.
And again, one of the most important parts, and we do mention this every show, is that this show is really your show, our show. It's the entire Scaper community that helps to put it together. So we're not kidding when we say we really want the feedback, ideas, comments, things you like and don't like, so that it can help us to make the best show possible. You know, we try to set up many different ways that you can contact us to do that.
You can share your thoughts with us by emailing us at feedback@scapecast.org. Now remember, we're a .org and not a .com.
And for those of you who like to interact with the other listeners and the crew members, we do have the forums, several different areas to be able to post your thoughts and have conversations with other folks. So you can find that link right off our homepage.
We have a voicemail number so you can leave us a comment or answer our question of the week. That number is 206-350-MOYA, which is 206-350-6692. If you can record a comment on your own, please do so. Email it to us either as an MP3 or a WAV file.
So thanks again for joining us as we continue our journey. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Lindy. Now it's time to disable your comms and find new wonders until next time.
This is John Crichton. Somewhere in the universe.
You've been listening to Episode 3 of the ScapeCast, produced May of 2006. Writers for this episode were Kevin Batchelder, Lindy Ray, Nicola Wood, Brent Barrett, Wendy Hembrock, Kurt Armbruster, David Walls. This episode featured voice performances by
Kevin Batchelder,
Lindy Ray,
Brent Barrett,
Kimberly Thompson,
Myron Wiles, Ken Chapina,
Wendy Hembrock,
Nicola Wood,
Kurt Armbruster.
For the entire ScapeCast crew, I'm Brent Barrett. Thank you for listening and fly safe.